Google's March 2026 core update has been rolling now for 5-ish days, and the vitality is 9.5 out of 10. Some sites are already reporting like a 35% drop, others are gaining, but if you've been building content the right way, emphasis on the right way, you shouldn't be panicking right now. But I do want to say that we should be paying attention. Hey, I'm Cassie Clark. I'm a fractional content strategist and an AI search optimization expert, aka a nerd, and I'm going to quit calling myself a nerd because everything is trading data and I don't want to show up for the term nerd. I run a podcast called Found in AI where I cover how brands get visibility inside AI engines. I wanted to make this video 5 days into the rollout, yes, kind of early, because most of the coverage that I have seen so far about this, I feel like is missing the bigger picture just a smidgen, and I want to talk about what I'm thinking about all of this. Everyone's talking about it as an SEO story, and it is. Google is traditionally SEO. Rankings are going to go up, they're going to go down. The advice is going to be check your EEAT, and yes, all of that matters. But what I'm not seeing anyone talk about is why this update feels familiar if you've been playing around with and paying attention to how AI search engines already work. Been elbow deep in them for a while now, and I want to break down all of that today. So what we know so far about this update, what it means for B2B content teams specifically, and what you should actually check this week during the midst of this rollout, but we're not going to touch anything yet. So let's just start with the facts, because the update is still rolling out, and I don't want to speculate on things that we can't really confirm because it's still kind of up in the air. But here's what is confirmed as of April 1st, 2026. The update started rolling out on March 27th. Google says it could take up to 2 weeks, which puts the expected completion date around April 10th, which I think is next Friday, but I could be wrong. So we're roughly a third of the way through this so far. So whatever you're seeing in your analytics right now is not the final picture. And Google has explicitly said to kind of hold off on doing anything, wait at least a full week after the rollout completes before you really start making any changes or analyzing performance. So all that to say is be patient, hold steady. Now, here's some quick context. The core update landed just 2 days after Google completed a separate spam update on March 24th, and 25th. That rolled out in under 20 hours, which has been kind of a big deal. The core update is a much bigger operation. Now, John Mueller actually explained on March 31st, so just yesterday, why these take weeks instead. It's multiple components being updated step by step, not just one switch getting flipped where they can check for spam. It's different parts of the algorithm are being recalibrated at different points during the rollout. I keep hitting my mic, so that's why it takes a little bit later. SEMrush's vitality sensor, it hit 9.4 to 9.5 out of 10. This makes this one of the most volatile core updates ever recorded. Now, for context around that, the March 2024 core update, the one that first went really, really hard after AI generated spam, that was around an 8. According to early reports from this update, more than half of monitored sites are showing some kind of ranking movement. Now, some sites are reporting organic traffic drops within just 48 hours of when this started. Others, and this is kind of important, they are seeing gains. So this is not all doom and gloom for everyone. Those pages with original research from early reports saw an average of 22% increase in visibility according to that early data that's out. Now, what is getting hit? The pattern is clear, and there's a name for it now. Google appears to be using what analysts are calling, and I quote, the Gemini 4.0 semantic filter. That's a layer designed to distinguish between high signal content and what's being called agentic slop, or as we all affectionately call it on LinkedIn, AI slop. That's AI generated content that reads fine on the surface, but it doesn't contain any verifiable novelty or original thinking. It's all just kind of fluffy. This is not a blanket penalty across or against AI-assisted content. I'll come back to that because it matters a lot, and I know a lot of teams are using AI-assisted tools to help with content creation. This is targeting content that was produced at scale using AI without any meaningful editorial input. Content where the AI did the thinking, not just the typing. Now, the other signal that's getting a lot of attention is something called, and I'm quoting again, information gain. Google is now explicitly evaluating how much genuinely new information a page contributes compared to what already ranks keyword or query. So if your post is just, let's say, a nicer version of what's already on page 1, even if it's well written, even if it's technically accurate, it's gonna lose ground on those rankings. So no proprietary data, no firsthand experience, no specific case studies. All those things are super important. That's the content that's getting deprioritized, the content that lacks all of those things. Now, Google has also buried something interesting in the update notes. You have to do a little bit of digging that I think we ought to talk about. Google Discover is now explicitly requiring proper heading structure for content to surface in AI-powered feed recommendations. That's a structural signal, and it matters beyond just Discover. I'm also going to come back to that too here in just a second. Now, here's what I think that we need to really pay attention to about this update. Some of us might be missing it, especially if we've ignored AI engines. But if you have been paying attention to how ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Google's own AI overviews choose sources to cite, this update isn't really surprising, like at all. AI search engines have been deprioritizing generic content, and they've been choosing or elevating original sources for months. Now, when you use Perplexity, when you ask it a question, it doesn't cite the page with the most backlinks. I think this has been the most interesting part about this. It cites the page that gives the clearest, most specific, most useful answer. So the page that has the original data point, or the page with the named framework, could be the page where someone clearly, the author of clearly knows what they're talking about, because the content, it absolutely reflects real life experience. Now, Google's traditional search algorithm is now enforcing the same quality bar for content that those AI engines already set. So it doesn't really feel like it's new information if you've been thinking about GEO together with SEO. Google is also apparently using its own AI to do this, which is interesting. That Gemini 4.0 semantic filter that I mentioned, Google is using an LLM to detect content that was produced by an LLM without real human expertise behind it. That's interesting. So in other words, the AI is filtering for AI-generated stuff. It's looking for the same thing that Perplexity and ChatGPT look for when they decide what to cite. Now, the questions that these engines and now traditional Google ask is, does the content reflect genuine knowledge, or is it just fluent rephrasing? This is what I'm calling the convergence. It's a good word. And it's the most important thing to understand about this update. So if you're thinking about it in terms of your content strategy specifically, because it means that you don't need to separate content strategies at all. You don't need to have one for SEO. You don't need to have one for AI search. And I know that's been the biggest debate of some focusing solely on AI search and then losing in SEO. These signals are aligning. We need fresh, structured, authoritative content, and those are not just AI search optimization tactics. Now, as of April 2026, they're the universal quality signals across every search surface. If you've been following me on LinkedIn, on my blog, the newsletter here, you've heard me talk about the FSA Framework before. It stands for freshness, structure, and authority. This update is basically Google adopting the same criteria that AI engines already use to decide what content to cite or which brands to put inside of an answer. Now, let me explain why I think this framework just kind of maps directly to what's happening right now. So if you have a diagnostic lens like the FSA Framework, then you can actually do something about this update instead of just watching and looking at your analytics and being sad about it and hoping. So with the FSA, with freshness, this update is deprioritizing still content. So sites that publish and forget, I'm guilty of this sometimes, like there's no updates, there's no current examples, or no refresh data, those pages are gonna lose ground. AI engines already penalize this already. So if your content says something like as of 2024 or as of 2025 and nothing's been touched since you posted it, both Google and ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, whichever one that you're using, they're going to treat it as less reliable. So with structure, the S of the FSA framework, remember that Google Discover detail that I mentioned? It's requiring proper heading structure for AI-powered feed recommendations. Now, this has been kind of standard. Headings in H2s and H1s has been kind of standard, but this is not just a Discover thing. So well-structured content with clear H2s, those defined terms, the scannable sections, the FAQ markup, it's easier for both humans and machines to extract useful answers from the content. AI engines have been doing this. They have been rewarding those pages that are structured clearly on the page. Google is now continuing to do the same or starting to do it even more aggressively. Then we have authority. Now, this is the big one because the EEAT signals now need to be demonstratable. And this update specifically tightened the weighting on experience and authoritativeness. So you have to have those named authors with the real external profiles. They need to be cited sources, traceable expertise, original data that didn't come from a prompt or just out of thin air somewhere. It has to come from your actual work. This is the information gain concept, and it's where it connects to authority. So Google is now explicitly measuring whether your pages adds something new to the conversation. So if you're the source of the original data or the original thinking or the original framework or the original case study or whatever, just some kind of original something, that's both authority and information gain in one signal. Now for AI search, just spread that everywhere. Put it in the places that matter. But if you're rephrasing what's already ranking, you've got neither. Pages with original research, according to this early data, have seen an average 22%. It's still early on pre-coffee. Visibility gain according to, like I said, those early data. Now, on the pages that could be written by anyone, those are the ones that are dropping. Okay, so all of that aside, let's get practical about this. If you are running content for a B2B SaaS company, or honestly, anywhere where content is part of your growth strategy, here's what I check this week, maybe not so much in a panic, and I just kind of keep an eye on it until the rollout is done and maybe even a week later. First, we are not going in there. We are not panic editing. The update is still rolling out. We are only 5 days in. We are probably looking at April 10th for completion, so we still have another week and a half. And Google has explicitly said to at least wait 1 full week after that rollout finishes before you start really analyzing your performance or tweaking your strategy or making major changes. Like what goes up must come down, it has to settle. So that means that mid-April at the earliest for a real assessment. So just maybe add it to your calendar. Whatever you're seeing in your traffic right now is still mid-rollout movement, so it's not your settled new reality. Panic editing during a rollout like this can actually hurt you a little bit more than it helps you because you are making changes to a moving target. I know it's tempting. Now, second, here's something that you can do right now. You can go ahead and audit your last 90 days of content for originality. So pull up everything that you've published in Q1 for each piece, go in there and check, Does this contain original data, like a proprietary framework, or original thinking, a specific case study, or an insight that only our team could produce? Now, if the answer for most of those questions is no, not really, that's where we're going to start. So make a note of which pages need some kind of update with data, and then go ahead and add something in. So third, we're going to check your freshness signals. Look at your top 20 pages by traffic. Do they have as of dates? If they do, we need to go in there and fix those. Have you updated examples and data in the last 90 days? It kind of goes back to what we just talked about. Or do you just publish them and move on? I'm making the face because sometimes I do that. I'm a one-woman team over here. Stale, undated content is exactly what's getting deprioritized. I'm preaching to myself on this one. Now, by now, Google and those AI engines are already looking at this thing, so it's really important that we do that. Fourth, we're going to look at your content structure. Are your headers formatted as questions that match how people actually search? This is a big one. Can someone or an AI engine pull a useful answer, a self-contained answer, from any section of your post without needing to read the whole thing? The answer to that is no. Your content might be good. It is probably super comprehensive, but it's not extractable. And extractability is the name of the game here. It's what drives those AI citations. Now, fifth, this one might be maybe the most important one. Ask yourself this: would this content exist if AI writing tools didn't? If your team's content production basically stops without ChatGPT, it's a tiny problem. I say that gently because it means that the AI isn't assisting your expertise, it is the expertise. And that's exactly what Google is now penalizing, and what those AI engines have been ignoring for months now. My cat's behind me. I don't know if you can see him, but he's starting to snore. But I want to be super clear about something, because I have seen hot takes already. LinkedIn is full of them. AI content is dead. No, we are not planning funerals. This update is not anti-AI, and neither are AI search engines. What they are aligned on, though, is that they want content that reflects real expertise. How you produce it matters less than what's in it. So use the AI for drafting, use it for research, use it for outlining or repurposing or brainstorming. I do a mix of all of those things, and that's using AI as an infrastructure, and it's smart, especially if you're running a lean team. Now, what's not smart, and I'm not trying to call anyone out here, but what's not smart is using AI as your author. I have worked with brands that have done this. Again, not trying to call anyone out, but they're over here publishing thousands of blog posts a month where the AI did the thinking, not just the typing, and there's very little editing that goes into this. Now, when there's no original data because no one ran the experiment, or there's no unique framework because nobody sat with the problem long enough to come up with one or figure it out, it's a problem. It's a problem. The brands that are holding steady right now, they are the ones that have been doing this. They're the ones that are digging into their customer data. They're the ones that are talking with their customers and figuring out the problem and the solutions. They're the ones that are getting cited by AI engines, and they're the ones that are using tools to do this, to move faster, but still bringing their own expertise into the content. It's doable. It's doable without being penalized. So here's the summary. The March 2026 core update is volatile. It's very volatile, but if you've been building content with original data, clean structure, and genuine expertise, this is not a crisis. Think of it more as a validation. You're probably fine. If you haven't, now is the time to start thinking about a different content strategy. Do not panic. Just start by auditing. Use the FSA Framework as your diagnostic lens. So go check your freshness, tighten your structure, and make sure that every piece of content that you publish, whether it's on your own site, whether it's a Reddit post, whether it's a YouTube video, wherever you put it, has something in it that only your team could have written. I'm going to keep tracking this rollout as it finishes. Again, that expected completion date is around April 10th, so another week and a half-ish. And I'll do a follow-up video once we have the full picture and the data has had a week or so to settle. We gotta let it settle. We gotta let it eat. If you want a tactical framework for how to optimize your content for AI search engines or Google now, even though it's not just Google, I really put this out in the mind of AI search engines. I've got the full breakdown of the FSA framework linked in the description. There's a blog post that you can go read, and I also have the full version that's like 70 some pages as an ebook on Amazon. So also, if you want this kind of analysis in your inbox every week, you can subscribe to the Visibility Report. Those goes out on Friday. It is my newsletter where I break down AI search trends and what it means for B2B content teams. Hit subscribe if this video was useful. I would love you forever. Drop a comment and tell me, because I'm nosy and I'm curious and I love hearing from everyone who is in the middle of this too. Are you seeing traffic gains, drops, holding steady since Thursday? I want to hear what's happening on your end. Leave a comment, let me know. The school bus just went by. It's super early here and I'm going to go grab some more coffee. I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay visible wherever your content is. Okay, bye.